Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with some more adventures in locksmithing. Continuing on with our crazy pot stories. This one is kind of going to be a compilation one, but when under the influence of pot, many people have the idea to do it themselves. And this is one of these is pot, one of them's a different drug that I won't go into, but especially with cars, they'll get on YouTube, they'll see something, or they'll get the idea in their head that they can do something, and then they mess things up big time. And then when they're not under the influence, they give me a call. But usually the cars reek a pot, and so how they were able to think that this was a good idea. So the first one, many cars today have what's called an active retainer that holds the ignition in. So you have to turn either the ignition to crank or accessories and depress a pin to be able to get it to come out. And it's not just the pin that's holding it back. Many times the tailpiece interacts with gears in the back, and if they're not in the right position, if you rip it out, it's going to mess stuff up. So the lock either needs to be picked or some other solution to get it actually out. Well, I've seen a lot of people get inventive, drill the pin out, even though it's a hardened pin, do different things. But these people decided to take a grinder to the steering column and just saw down one whole side and completely take that outer housing of the steering column and cut it in half. And then they called me out, handed me ignition, and asked me to make a key for it. In the end, it was like, they thought they were just going to be able to, zip tie the ignition onto the steering column. Now they need a whole new steering column, whereas before I would have just drilled out the ignition and all they needed was a new ignition. But now they need a whole new steering column. Well, here's the other problem. They didn't remove the transponder ring. Now, the transponder system is an anti-theft device. It reads the chip in the key and then tells the computer that it's okay to turn on. So without that, the car's theft system shuts the car off. So they sawed through all those electronics, which they could have undone one screw and pulled the ring off, undid the wiring. Despite the fact that it's got wires plugged into it and all that, they didn't see a need to take that off. They just grind right through it, and they caused themselves some significant amount of damage. Now, here's the second one. This is another one with a car. This time it was with a PT Cruiser. This lady was not on pot. She was on something a little bit more hard. Many people do pot recreationally. In a lot of states, it's legal, but this was some next level stuff. And she decided that she had seen the little thing on YouTube with a tennis ball trick to unlock locks, which is a complete fake thing that's not real. So she saw that and thought, I could do that with my ignition. Now, mind you, it's got a chip. There's no way, even if she got the ignition to turn. But what she did is she sealed. So she got silicone out. She sealed the entire ignition. Anywhere she saw an air hole, she sealed it. And then she stuck a tube onto the front and glued that to the front of the ignition and hooked an air compressor up to that. And she was going to use air pressure to turn her car on. You got to be on some next level stuff to think that that's a good idea. Now, what she ended up doing was shooting the electronic switch at the back and all the electronics that sit at the back of the ignition that actually tell the car what section, if you have an accessories on, start, and tells all the car that just blew all of that off the back, and it exploded. So there's wires, all that stuff is just completely destroyed, has to be replaced. She damaged the ignition, and what she hadn't damaged by the air pressure, she damaged with all the silicone and stuff that she put on it. Really crazy idea what this lady was thinking she was going to accomplish. No amount of pressure is going to make something magically turn. And this goes when people see stuff on YouTube. They do this, and especially when they're on some type of mind-altering thing, suddenly they really are willing to believe that they can accomplish these things. So that's just another adventure in locksmithing. Definitely the jobs I want to run away from is the jobs where they started it and made the job 10 times harder than if they had just called me to begin with. But hey, that's just another adventure in locksmithing, hoping everybody is having a good day.